I think we're going to make a start, everyone. That was a bit jarring, wasn't it? That was very loud. Everyone kind of went, oh, I'm going to stand up now, or sit up now. So a massive welcome to all of you to our Women in Tech event in Birmingham, and a very special welcome as well to the people watching at home online. So we are live streaming this event online, which is really exciting to be able to reach people from a wider area. And also to be able to send to all of you who are in the room today. So you'll be able to re-watch any content that you are particularly interested in, or want to kind of relive at home in your own time, which is super exciting. So as I said, a really big welcome to the event today. We're really excited to have you here. We think we've got a great lineup for you this afternoon, with lots of different opportunities to meet several of the women in tech who have very kindly volunteered their time today to come and talk to us about their experiences and about their journeys into tech. My name is Stephanie Howell. I work at Generation, and we are a global non-profit organisation who are running the event today and do all sorts of different things around technology and getting into technology. And you'll hear a bit more about Generation in just a second. So, I'm so sorry, I didn't realise the slide had disappeared. There we go. Tech issues on a tech event. So that's me. So I've introduced myself already. And as I said, I'm from Generation. So we are a global non-profit organisation. We place people into life-changing careers by delivering fantastic skills boot camps in particular industries that are booming, that have lots of vacancies, and that traditionally people might find it tricky to get into if they haven't had a certain background or certain type of experiences. So today we're going to be talking all about tech. We do have some boot camps that aren't tech. Obviously today you're all here because you're particularly interested in getting into the digital and technology world. We are supported today by the folks at the back of the room, all dressed in black from Not Going to Uni. So these guys are here live streaming the event today, but Not Going to Uni do amazing work for anyone who, as the name might suggest, didn't go to university or isn't planning to go to university and is interested in looking at alternative routes into employment or a particular type of career. So why are we here today? Why have we thought this is a good thing to do? Why should we be putting on an event to try and get more women into tech? Well, this is why. So this statistic is why we're here today. Just 26.5% of the UK tech industry identify as female. We don't think that's good enough. We know that's not good enough, and we think the UK can do better. And what we're hoping is that by coming today or by watching online at home, by the end of the event, you'll be inspired to join this number and grow it for future generations. That's our hope today. So what can you expect from this afternoon? I think I'm going to stand over here, it'll be a bit easier. So you'll be getting an introduction to some of the different careers in tech that you could be interested in or you could find to be the right path for you. You'll be getting an introduction from me to what a skills bootcamp is. So you heard me mention that term already. Generation delivers skills bootcamps to get people into these exciting jobs. But what is a skills bootcamp? We're going to tell you all about that. You'll get the opportunity to hear from the professionals that have very kindly volunteered their time today. So we'll get to talk to them about what it's like to be a woman in tech, how they got into tech, what their journeys have been like, and how maybe you could follow in their footsteps. You'll also have the opportunity today to start an application to a Generation Bootcamp if that's something you would be interested in doing. So we'll be here to support you in doing that. You'll have time, obviously, to meet other attendees if you haven't been able to have a chat already, find out a bit more about their interests, their experiences, and just maybe meet some like-minded individuals who have got the same kind of ambitions and aspirations in life as you perhaps do. Hey, so a bit more about Generation. So I've mentioned already that we're a global non-profit organisation. So we are operating in about 16 or 17 different countries around the world. I'm here representing the UK and Ireland today, and that's who's putting on the event. We've been around in the UK and Ireland for a few years now, about 5 years or so, and we have helped an awful lot of people in that time. So we have supported over 1,500 people who were previously unemployed or on unstable zero-hour contracts into life-changing careers. And we use that word deliberately, that word career. We're all about getting people into something that is sustainable and meaningful and will last a long time, and a career in which you can progress if that's what you would like to do. Rather than a job where maybe it's unstable or it's short term, that's not what we're here to do. We're here to kind of get people into these life-changing careers that is going to have a real impact on how you live and how you can support people around you and your family. So we do this by working with employers. So we work, as the slide says, with over 5,000 employers around the UK and Ireland, And they range from huge companies like Microsoft, who are very kindly supporting this event today, all the way down to kind of small and medium-sized businesses as well. And we work with them to help them kind of open their minds to broaden the types of people that are coming into their organizations. So getting them to understand the benefits of having a diverse workplace population, the benefits of finding talented people from non-traditional routes, and then helping them to support people just like you who come through our boot camps into jobs in their organizations. These are some of the stats that I really like. So the last two here. So of the people that we've served last year who come onto our boot camp, 75% are now in incredible employment opportunities, incredible careers as a direct result of coming onto our boot camps. And then the last one there, this is a great one. On average, we see a 3 to 4 times increase in income for our graduates compared to between them starting the boot camp compared to when they finish the boot camp and then are in employment. So these are really life-changing opportunities. We have people come back and tell us, I could put a deposit on a house, or I could buy a car for the first time, as a result of getting into these kind of careers after the boot camp. So it's not just about getting a job, it's about the impact that that job or career will have on lots of other aspects and areas of your life as well. So these are our tech boot camps. We have 5 tech boot camps that we currently run around the UK and Ireland. You'll get to hear a little bit more about those today as you come and chat to me or chat to other people from Generation here. But all of these boot camps are offered in industries where there are booming circumstances, there's lots of jobs, there's lots of vacancies, and industries and roles that offer lots of progression in them as well. I've circled the one here, AWS Cloud Support Practitioner. I've circled it because that's the next one that's coming up in the West Midlands. So we operate in a few different regions around the UK. The West Midlands is one of them. That's why we're here today. So if you are someone who resides in the West Midlands and you are interested in potentially enrolling onto a tech bootcamp with Generation, this is the one that's coming up next, launching in September. So please do come and ask me about that a little bit later today if that's something you might be interested in doing. And we wanted also to point out some of the fantastic organisations and employers that we work with. So I mentioned already that we work with a huge range of employers, ranging from the huge household name organisations all the way down to small local organisations that you might not have heard of but can offer some amazing opportunities. And so hopefully here there will be some names on the slide that you do recognise, hopefully lots of names on the slides that you recognise. And I think what's really interesting about this slide is that there's a whole range of different types of organisations there. So maybe you're sat there thinking, oh, I just kind of thought it would be tech organisations up there. There's lots of organisations here that are not specifically tech. So Sainsbury's, for example, or BP, or Cancer Research, Depop, Just Eat, Gymshark, and really excitingly, we have one of our Generation Bootcamp graduates who now works at Gymshark coming in to talk to you a little bit later today. So this is hopefully going to demonstrate not just the range of employers we work with, but also the range of industries that tech can take you into. So you can have a tech job or a tech career, but work in lots of different types of industries. It doesn't have to be a tech company. You can explore different interests alongside your interest in tech. Okay, so a little bit about how the bootcamp actually feels. So what's it like to be on a bootcamp? So the first thing to say is that all of our bootcamps are delivered online. So we do this for lots of reasons. It means that we can pull in expert instructors from all over the country. It doesn't matter where they live. It means that you can study from the comfort of your own home. You don't have to commute. You don't have to worry about travel, paying for travel, the time it takes to travel, all of that kind of thing. They are quite intensive programs, and that's for a reason. So they're sort of Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. And they're intensive because there's so much content to fit into them. So our boot camps on the tech programs tend to range between 9 and 12 weeks long. And if you think actually in the grand scheme of things, that's not too long to kind of take out of your time to change your career or change your life. You could be 12 weeks away from going in a real different direction in your life. So there's loads and loads of content to fit in, which is why they are quite intensive, 9 to 5. So we are looking for people who can commit to that kind of schedule. There's loads and loads of support available, though, which I'll talk you through in just a second. So you'll learn lots of different things on the bootcamp, and I'll go into more detail in just a moment. But predominantly, you're going to learn the technical content that you need to be successful in a tech career. So whichever program you pick, we will teach you all of the tech content you need to start an entry-level job in that industry. We've designed all of our programs with employers, so we know that we're teaching you what employers want from their team members. You'll also, though, get to learn a lot about the kind of softer skills, and we call this growth mindset. So it's all about learning perseverance and resilience and what to do if you get knocked down and how to get back up again and how to have confidence in yourself and how to aspire higher. So we don't just teach you the tech content and then leave it at that. We also give you a huge amount of pastoral support to kind of see the best in yourself, increase your confidence and think, yes, no, I do belong in this industry. I can do this. There is a place for me here. And then lastly here, I just wanted to point out the bit about community. So community is really, really important to Generation. So I mentioned earlier that we've got a Generation graduate coming back, and that's what we call you when you leave our programs. We call you a Generation graduate or a Generation alumni. And we have this amazing alumni community who act as each other's kind of professional network and support each other, lean on each other. You'll be in a classroom with up to sort of 20, 25 other people. So it's not huge, and you get to know each other really, really well. It's super interactive, and you become each other's first professional network to help each other, support each other, and be each other's allies as you're taking your first step into the industry. So if you're someone who's considered training like this before, but hasn't liked the idea of doing it on your own or not being able to talk to anyone else while you're doing it, if that doesn't motivate you to learn, this could be a really interesting option for you because you get to motivate each other and keep each other accountable. And then, as I said, when you leave your program, you become part of this Generation graduate community. And we don't just forget about you. You know, we still support you. You can still talk to each other. You can still contact us for support. Or you get to come back and do events like this, like our graduates doing later for us. So, tiny bit more then about what you will learn on the program. So there's 3 different areas here that I talked a little bit about. So you've got the Generation mindsets, the behaviour skills, and the technical skills. So the technical skills are probably the most straightforward one to talk about there. So whichever program you pick, as I say, we'll teach you the technical skills that employers need for that job. And then behavioural skills, these are kind of the soft skills that you need to be a great colleague, to be a great person to be around in the workplace. So it's the communication, teamwork, things that are going to make you someone that people want to work with, you know, people want to have on their team. It's super important. And the last one now, I mentioned growth mindset. So growth mindset is what we call resilience and perseverance and how to respond to failure, because we all fail sometimes, we all get knocked down, and it's how you react to that that's really important, and how you bring yourself back up again. So we teach you all of this lovely stuff in one big package, and you leave Generation not a completely different person, but a very different person to who you were when you joined Generation, and certainly someone who's going to have lots more confidence in yourself and confidence in your own potential and your aspirations. And that links really nicely in how you're going to be supported. So every Generation class gets a mentor, and you'll be able to meet this mentor one-to-one during the program that you're studying with us. So every classroom has an instructor who's an expert in the technical skills, and you'll be learning from them and their expertise. And then you'll also have your mentor who is there for any kind of support needs you might have, any pastoral issues you might have. We know that life happens, and we can't always plan or predict for when life happens. So when life does happen, and you happen to be on our program, you've got that extra support there with whatever might be going on in your life, whether it's carrying responsibilities, whether it's financial stress, whether it's mental health, you know, whatever it might be, we've got the support there for you. And so we put an awful lot of care and warmth into how we work with our learners, and hopefully that comes through there. So the support that you receive starts even before you get on the program. So you'll be meeting with a mentor before you even enroll on the program, so they can learn a bit more about you and learn more about your support needs, to make sure that we can help you to the best of our ability while you're on the course. While you're on the course, you've got those dedicated one-to-one sessions. You do lots of goal setting with them, so they help you understand what a goal is, how to set a goal, why it's important to have goals, and it helps you motivate yourself towards those goals. And then lastly there, just behind me, post-program, it's all about getting you ready for interviews. So you'll learn all the technical skills and the growth mindset, but then you also get the employment support at the end of the program as well. So they'll be teaching you a bit about CVs and interviews. You'll go for mock interviews with people with Generation, and they will work really closely with you to get you job ready, to get you ready to actually walk through the doors of a company and be a really, really great team member. So the last thing I'm going to say a little bit here is eligibility and next steps. So we have some basic eligibility requirements to get onto our programs. You need to be aged over 18. You should have the right to work in the UK. And if you are applying for a Birmingham or West Midlands program, you will need to be residing in a West Midlands postcode as well. What we're not looking for, though, and this is really, really important, is lots of education qualifications or professional experience. We are trying to work with people who don't necessarily have that, or haven't had the opportunity to gather lots of fancy advanced qualifications or been able to gather lots of professional experience. It's absolutely okay if you don't have that. In fact, you are probably exactly the kind of people that we would love to work with. That would be an amazing fit for our programs. If you do have a degree and you have had some professional experience, don't panic, that's okay. Come and have a chat with us. We'll talk through what that looks like and whether this would be a good program for you as well. And then last one there, all we are looking for in terms of your personal qualities is an appetite to learn. And so someone who is eager and motivated to make a change in their life and is wanting to learn something new and is open to that opportunity. So to wrap up then, on next steps. So you have a prime opportunity here today if you're in the room, or even if you're online, you can get in touch with us to talk to someone from Generation. That was obviously myself. I've also got my lovely colleague Ashleen here today, and talk to us about the opportunities at Generation and whether it could be the right choice for you. You can check out our website. So we'll be passing out details about our website and how you can find out more information there a little bit later on. So please do have a look at that. You can explore all the different courses that we offer, particularly the tech courses, of course, and find out a little bit more about them. And then we also have a great tool on our website where you can check your eligibility. So essentially like a little quiz that you can do to check your eligibility to see whether you'd be passing all of those basic criteria for the program that you'd be interested in. And what it will do when you complete that quiz, it will show you all the programs that you're eligible for, and it won't show you the ones that you're not eligible for. So you're not kind of wasting time looking at things that might not be the right fit for you. So as I say, please do make the most of being here today. Use the people around you, talk to each other, find out about each other's interests, talk to me and my colleagues about what we might be able to offer you at Generation. But even if Generation is not quite the right fit for you, that's totally fine. Talk to us about other opportunities that you might be interested in terms of getting into the tech world and tech community. So that's me done. So I am so proud to be able to hand over to two fantastic speakers who have very kindly joined us today. So first up we have Dawn Barnaby, who works at PricewaterhouseCoopers, which is a big consultancy company, and she's going to be talking a little bit about her role in tech, her journey into tech, and hopefully inspiring you to take a similar sort of path. So I'm going to welcome Dawn.
Hello everyone. So, I'm pretty big on the screen there, but I'm Dawn, and I'm a data engineer at PwC, and if that means absolutely nothing to you, then you're in the right place, because I'm about to talk all about that. Otherwise, this might be a bit of a dull 15 minutes. So, I came into tech. I was actually quite privileged. I managed to go to university, and I studied mathematics. And I had no idea what I wanted to do. And I ended up doing an internship in what was data analytics, and ending up really enjoying the data engineering side, which I'll go into in a bit, and found my way into tech like that. When I first started my career, I was a bit worried about what does tech mean? I don't know what that job is. I really want a job just sitting and typing on spreadsheets. I can do that. And I think not seeing someone like myself in a role in tech really worried me that I couldn't do it. So that's what I want to do here today. I want to try and encourage some of you guys that I'm a bit like you. I'm a female. I managed in tech, and I've had a good career out of it. So first of all, I wanted to be a bit interactive and try and get you guys pulling your phones out, hopefully putting them away afterwards, and just having a think about what sort of data exists out of there. So data is just a form of information. I've got that. So I might have a lot of data on my mobile phone. If I pull that out, I've got loads of photos on there of all my good memories. So that's a form of data. Or on my wrist, I have a Fitbit. That's constantly collecting my heart rate. And that's a form of data. It's giving me information. So I just want you guys to take a couple of minutes, go on the QR code, or if you can't access the QR code, go to slido.com and put the code in. And just put some ideas of what sort of data exists out there. And hopefully we'll get a good word cloud going. My phone book, I love that. That's a great form of data. Does everyone remember when they used to have it in paper format? Still data, but so much easier now it's on the phone. Google Photos, finance reports, oh, the worst. So someone's come up with some horrible thing there. I hate looking at finance reports. Bank statements, also hate looking at those when I'm falling down, but sometimes it's quite nice on payday. All your notes, addresses. Fab. So it looks like we've got some really good ideas of what data is. And there's so much that exists out there on what you can have. So my next slide is just talking about the sort of volumes of data that we expect. Although I might have broken. So every single minute, there's estimated to be around 700,000 credit card transactions. So this is a lot of data that's happening. A lot of people are paying money, and every time a credit card transaction happens, someone's got to go check the fraud, check that someone's got enough money to pay for it, and make sure all these things are collected. So there's a lot of data happening. There are 1.1 million swipes happening on Tinder every single minute, probably a lot of men doing their right swiping. There's 3.9 million Google searches happening every single minute, and 240 million emails sent. So think about all the emails that you get every day in your spam inbox, 240 million every single minute. And if you were to sit down today and go, okay, I'm going to download all of the internet, it would take you about 181 million years with a good Wi-Fi connection. So that's the sort of volume of data we're talking about, and even on the internet they haven't got access to all of your data, so we don't have access to personal phone books like someone was saying earlier, and it's only growing. And why do we have all this data? So there's loads of different reasons. I've picked out 5 key ones. So entertainment, we've got things like Netflix, to inform decision making, so companies being able to decide if they can afford something, they need to know how much money they've got. Socializing, so you might be sending WhatsApp messages to your friends, that's containing data, and you'd be pretty upset if that wasn't stored and all of your messages went missing. Legitimacy of bank transactions, so when you're paying money, it's actually getting paid, and it's going to the right person. And the last one I put there, forecasting and predictions, so things like the weather forecast, looking at things in advance and looking at the sort of data you have available to be able to predict those. And all of these sort of things are used in our day-to-day lives. I've put that there. I really hate this quote, but loads of people put it there. Data is the new oil. It's what's going to keep society running and moving in the future. Oh, and that's quite small. But what is data engineering? So I've talked about the data that we have available, and I've talked about the value you can get from it. And that's where the data engineer sits. So we have our data, and we've got to get some value out of it. So I've got a little example. Hopefully everyone knows about the census, so the survey that everyone in the UK has to do every 10 years to understand the demographics of who sits in the UK, where public services should be provided. So I've got the census on the left, someone filling it out. That's the data being collected. And what the use is on the right-hand side. It's a bit blurry, but this is a demographic for Chichester Council. So looking at what the proportion of their constituents is. So how many are male, how many are female, different things like that. And in the middle sits me, the data engineer, trying to get data from the source and getting it to somewhere where it's used and actually providing value. So in this, there's a lot of different things. So one, I've got to actually move the data, make sure that it's getting from one place to the other. I've got to make sure that that data is of a reasonable quality. I can't be sending it over and saying someone lives in this address, but they've put the wrong postcode in. I've got to make sure that it's a reasonable quality, that people can rely on the results. Data security, this is a massive one with the census. I think everyone would be pretty upset if someone saw all their data put online, or someone was able to access them and defraud them. So massively important to make sure data is secure, and people should only have access to what they're allowed to have access to. So even people in Chichester Council won't be able to look you up and find all your information. They will get an aggregated view before they can even do this. Storing the data, you cannot lose this data. That's incredibly important. If you lose this data, it's another 10 years before you get access to another lot. And optimization, so making sure this process runs quickly, effectively, and smoothly. And that's what my sort of job is. So get data from its form and get it somewhere that is used, thinking about all of these things in the middle. So I've got an example of one of the projects I've done just to sort of bring this to life about what my career does. And my example project is probably pretty relatable, COVID-19. I'm sure a lot of you are really sick of hearing about it. But during COVID-19, one of the things that the government did, actually correctly, was to back trade credit insurance. So there's loads of insurers that provide insurance to businesses that if they don't get the money they need, insurance will back them up. The problem is during COVID, none of the insurers wanted to provide this because they'd lose a load of money knowing businesses would go out of action in COVID. So what the government decided to do was back trade credit insurers. So say if you make money, we'll get a part of it, but if you lose money, we'll back you. So providing insurance to insurers. So what happened is that insurers sign up to the scheme, and every quarter they send their data over, and it came to us. And we had to make sure that it worked. They weren't trying to pay money to someone incorrect. And at the end of it, the government got a money that said, here's what you owe, or the insurer got a money saying, here's what you owe. So just looking at the sort of process, so insurers upload their data. We do a load of checks on the data. So the first one is quite clear. If you're uploading data, I don't want you to be uploading your photo from last Tuesday. It needs to be what I actually wanted you to upload. So that's just what the file and structured checks is. Have you uploaded what I wanted? We then data quality test. So certain things like if you're saying an amount and you've given me a long string of text information, I can't work out what that money is. So that's sort of what the data quality testing is, making sure that you've provided what I want again. This one's a bit more complicated. So when you sign up to the scheme, the government's not going to pay out whatever you fancy. There's a load of rules behind it in place. So, for example, making sure that if you're asking for £10 to cover what you paid someone, you've actually paid them £10, and you've not paid them £5, and you're requesting more from the government. So that's what the scheme rule checks are. It's all coded checks to make sure that you're obeying with the rules that you signed up to. And at the end of it, there's a bit of a manual process just to check that everything's gone through correctly. Because it's government, it has to be really secure, and everyone has to have high confidence in it. So there is a bit of manual. But then you spit out an invoice that says who owes who what. And this platform, especially because of the nature of it, all has to be incredibly secure. I can't leak this information, not that I'd necessarily know what it all means, but someone might, and they might be able to defraud or break down these businesses. So that's a bit about data engineering. Hopefully that's brought it a little bit to life for you guys. So at this point, I tend to get a bit of questions about what skills would I need to be a data engineer. So the first three you might not have heard of. These are the technical skills. So these are the things that Steph was talking about in her presentation that they'd be able to teach you. So the main skill I'd say for a data engineer technically would be SQL. This is a coding language that you work with data. Another up-and-coming skill, if you're working with really large quantities of data, is Python. And the last one I've put there is Azure or another cloud-based system. And hopefully these three are what you would learn on sort of a generation platform, or you can look these up on YouTube if you're really interested in getting to know one of them. The other skills that then I think are equally important for someone going into tech, you have to have a constant learning mindset. Tech is massively evolving. 5 years ago, my mobile phone did not look like what it looks like today. And as a career in tech, you have to be open to the idea that you're always going to be learning. You're never going to know everything. And the last one I've put there is communication. So this is massively important for anyone in any form of business. For example, with my government project, if I was trying to understand what these scheme rules were, I wouldn't get very far if I couldn't talk to the government and understand what those things are. I couldn't get very far if I wasn't talking with my team and finding out which bit they were working on. So that's massively important, and being able to talk in a clear, concise way and also listen and make sure you're understanding what other people are saying is probably the biggest skill, I would say. So that's it for me, and I think I'm on to Irina, unless we got... Oh, any questions for me whilst I'm here?
All right, thank you so much, Dawn. Can we just say a quick thank you to Dawn? Okay, and next up we have Irina, who works at Revolut, which some of you might have heard of. It's a banking application, a sort of modern, disruptive sort of bank, so not kind of your traditional high street bank. So it should be really, really interesting to hear about that. Irina also partners with an organisation called Women Who Code, so I think she's going to tell us a little bit about that as well. So if you're interested in coding, this will be the talk for you. So thank you so much, Irina.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for coming today on this panel. I'm really happy to see you all. And yeah, I'm going to share a bit about myself, and today I'm going to share a bit about Women Who Code, what is it, and actually how I came to it. So let's start with myself. I would say I'm also a bit lucky, so I have something like traditional degree where I study a lot of mathematics and physics, and I targeted it from school. Like I solved a lot of Olympiads, and I spent like the whole summer to prepare to the next season in school, and it was quite hard part, but anyway, it's got me where I am, and it's really cool. So the journey of software backend engineer, it's also about quite interesting journey. So it's about having a lot of things on your plate sometimes. Sometimes you working as a system analyst, sometimes you are a coder a lot, sometimes you working with a business, sometimes you like also do some data engineering. So it's about a big journey, and I worked in different companies. Right now I work at Revolut, which is very interesting company right now because it's not already startup, but it started as startup. It still have a high speed, and it's still like have a lot of projects that deliver fast and never settle. But at the same time, it's already big company, so you already have track to grow there. And yeah, and also when I came to London 3.5 years ago, I found here a community which called Women Who Code. And I was really surprised because in my original country where I'm from, there is no community to support women, to support them to build career, and especially in very male-dominated fields, where actually all honest. And when I came to UK, actually I haven't even job. I was looking for a new job in a new country, and I found on Meetup the event, in-person event from Women Who Code. And I came there, and I feel really supported by it. And I felt like, wow, there is a community who is going to support women in this tech industry. And I'm going to share about it. So Women Who Code is global community, and we're a volunteering community, non-profit organization, so anyone can join at any time. And our goal actually empower diverse women to excel in technology career. We have vision a tech industry where diverse women and historically excluded people thrive at every level. And our goal actually to see women in the position of directors on presidents. So we really would like to have new role models there, which is very important because when you're young and you're looking like, what I'm going to do in this life, you're looking first of all at role models, right? And I would say there are still very few role models to build a career in IT industry. And yeah, Women Who Code has our values. It's focused on the mission, design for inclusion, advocate for change, and journey forward. And all over the world, Women Who Code is 343,000 members, and Women Who Code London, that I am presented, it's not limited by actually London. So on this picture, you see my favorite volunteers from Netherlands and Ayla from Turkey. So we are really expand all networks that we can. And I would like to share what actually we can suggest for women for free. So we have right now a mentorship program, and it also have ad hoc session alongside with long-term sessions. So you can just go to the website and check out what is happening there and find mentor or become mentor. We try to run mock interviews programs, which is actually about help you to get into tech by having like mock interview. It's very powerful tool, mock interview. I actually found my best ever line manager through mock interview, and I also asked him for several mock interviews, and then I said, okay, I'm going to go to your company, but you will be my line manager. So I think mock interview is powerful things. And we have social media in LinkedIn, Meetup, Slack, Twitter. We're trying to grow up. And you're welcome to volunteer as well for Women Who Code if you'd like to help us to grow. We have Women Who Code blog post, and we do our publication about our programs, about tips how to grow up in tech. I really love this. My 5 top tips to having successful one-on-one with your actually manager. It's a very good article, and I share with my mentees as well. And yeah, recently in actually May, we have one more, my favorite, about balancing parenthood and career from our leader, principal engineer at uBlocks in Cambridge. We run some tracks like this one, object-oriented programming tracks. It's about programming in Java and Python. It's about different principles, how to build your backend application. We have machine learning track, which is very interesting thing because we right now do a lot of, yeah, sorry, that's not as it should be organized. We have competitions, and we ran the second times competition this year. It was really good. Everyone liked it. And yeah, that's about competition this year. And we have different events on Meetup, everything for free, and most of them during lockdown 2 years, we had everything online. We collaborate with different universities, trying to share with them like, okay, we exist, and for me, it could be so important if when I started in university, there could be a community that say like, okay, we building career in IT industry. And we finally this year launched in-person events. Right now we're running them mostly in London, but we hope that we will extend it to different cities. And maybe one day we will come to Birmingham as well. And yeah, and some different activities. And if you'd like to try to volunteer, you are very welcome. For example, giving even yoga session just to empower other women with the same mindset. It's very cool. Or for example, we had the person from my work who just ran the workshop for stocks and investments for yourself, how to save money, etc. So yeah, that's about us. And yeah, that's our leaders. And I just put this slide because like, sometimes Women Who Code helps actually to grow up with career and find a new job. Sometimes it helps with application for global talent visa. And that's the last word from Women Who Code. So dear women, we need you. Yeah, that's about Women Who Code, yeah.
Thanks so much, Irina. And what we thought we'd also do is just ask Irina a few questions about her journey in particular, having heard a little bit about Women Who Code and also Irina's job for Revolut. We thought it might be interesting just to ask a few questions that might be particularly relevant to those in the room. So I wanted to start by asking, so you talked a little bit about your journey to finding Women Who Code and being part of that community, but in terms of your day-to-day role, what has your journey been like so far, and maybe tell us about some of the challenges in particular that you've found and how you overcame them?
Yes, that's a good question. And I would say, first of all, being the only one girl in the room is definitely the challenge. It's about always thinking a bit like another person, having mindset about it another person. The next thing that's actually challenged that the work actually is hard thing. At least what I'm doing, it's a lot about dedicate a lot of time on it. And what really helped me is to ask actually my colleagues, okay, how much time did you spend for it? Like, and sometimes I say like, yeah, I'm really trying to debug it for like the whole night. I really didn't know how to find the mistake there. And then you say, okay, that means that it's definitely everything fine with me, that it's hard for me. Yeah, like you feel a lot that it's hard, but it's also hard for your colleagues. And this is a more challenge because they're different to you. And you think like, okay, maybe it's easier for them because they are, I don't know, they're genius. That's what you think actually. And yeah, for my day-to-day life, it's about it. I found out that it's about actually building a relationship with your colleagues, having a lot of catch-ups, especially right now. We have everything remote. So right now I'm working with the team and my colleagues in different countries. And it's really harder to establish the contact, like non-verbal communications. You don't have them when everyone in different countries. And how you can solve it, you can do more catch-ups with them. You can just say like, okay, let's do pair programming session. Let's discuss how to look at it. Let's discuss every line of code. And I found out that it's great because then you establish a new connection and you can catch up and you can even work on different things. But you call to your colleagues and you work on different things, but you like an office atmosphere, you just there and you can discuss, oh, that's ideas that I had before, let's discuss about it. And it's really helpful. So that's how I try to sort it right now, especially in this new era after like post-COVID era when a lot of things remotely.
Thanks so much, and that's really useful insight into your day-to-day experience now. And in terms of advice for everybody in the room now, for a number of whom who may not have tech experience and may not have that background, what's your piece of advice for someone who's considering a role in tech? What are the kind of key tools that you think that they could explore or takeaways from your experience?
Yeah, first tool, I would say consistency, which means that you put your goal and you're trying to contribute in your goal every day. You try to pursue your goals every day. Maybe today you spend only half an hour, but you really try to achieve your goal, like which is long-term goal. So try to be consistent if you decide something, especially in programming world. If you want to learn it, you read it today, tomorrow you already don't remember what you wrote today, like when you're coding. Trust me, if you don't remember what you have been coding like a half a month ago, and you just like, who wrote these things? It's normal. It's because it's just a lot of information. When you start to do it, it's a lot of information. And you don't know if you done it in the right way or it was wrong way. And again, like if you try to learn all these things, it's a lot of information that will come to you. But what will help you? Be consistent. Revisit the things. Read about it again. Do not be stressed that you don't remember it. Do not be stressed that you can't write everything right now in the perfect way. And when you will come to the job, in the real job, your colleagues will have their own habits. And every time you should actually first of all learn their habits, how they write code, what the way they write code, what tools they use. So be ready to be like flexible, to be actually accepting everything that they taught you, and first of all, be able to be consistent. To contribute every day, to do small steps, step by step. You will overcome the long journey, just step by step. Do not give up.
Thanks so much, Irina. That was great. It's really valuable to hear your experiences. We're going to have a short break now, and I'm going to put some questions on the screen for you to consider amongst yourselves. take this opportunity to meet with other people from within the space. Who are possibly on the same journey as you. And then after the break, we're going to have some interactive workshops as well as a panel that Irina and Dawn are also going to be joining as well. So thank you ever so much. And yeah, we're going to take a break for about 15 minutes now.
refreshed. I hope anyone still watching online has been able to get a tea or a coffee as well, and has also come back feeling really re-energized. The next sessions that we have for you, we're going to split into 2 groups in the room. And those of you watching online will be able to partake in one of the sessions as well. So in this room, we're going to be talking about how to make a really good application to a bootcamp program, whether that's Generation or a different program. And in the other room, where my colleague Ashley is going to be leading the session, we're going to be talking all about CVs and how to create a really top-notch, outstanding CV. And if you happen to have brought a CV with you today, you'll also be able to get some personalised support with that as well. Everyone's going to get a chance to do both sessions because we're going to split you in half and then switch you back over after about 20 minutes or so, 25 minutes. So if I could ask everyone on this side of the room, you have just sat down, I'm really sorry, to get up and just move to the other room. So it's just next door. And then we'll do a switch in about 20-25 minutes. So you'll be going with Ashleen. Thank you so much. And then if I could ask everyone on this side of the room, if there is a bit of space that you can move forward into either on both sides, that would be amazing if you want to come a little bit closer. Thank you so much. That's awesome, thank you. Okay. You're good there. All right, great stuff. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to be talking about applications, and I appreciate there's not loads of you in the room, so I probably don't need the mic, but this is more for the live stream, so sorry if I sound a bit loud if you're quite close in the room. So this is about kind of what an application process to a bootcamp might look like. Now, I know from some of you, my colleagues have been chatting to, might have applied to a particular training program before or a type of bootcamp before. This might look a bit different in terms of like what our application process is like at Generation. At the end of this session, we'll have a few minutes where if you'd like to, you can pull out your phone and I can support you in how to open that initial application and start that application on the website. So you've kind of done it, and then you don't have so much to do when you go home today. So completely up to you, but if you'd like to start an application today, then I can help you and support you through that, and you'll be able to do that on your phone via our website. So, how to ace an application. So we talked a little bit earlier about what Generation are looking for and what we're not looking for. So what we're looking for is those kind of intrinsic qualities that you already have in you, that kind of commitment, that motivation, enthusiasm for what you apply to do. What we're not looking for is loads and loads of education qualifications, professional experience. If you've got some of that, we'll still consider you, absolutely. But if you don't panic, that you might be exactly the kind of person that we're looking for. So with that in mind, I want to show you what a typical application process to a Generation bootcamp looks like. So you will start with an online application. So this will be done on your phone, it can be done on a desktop or a laptop, any sort of device that you own. You'll complete this application all online via our website, and that's the thing that we can help you with today if you are interested in starting an application with us. So this involves sharing some of your personal details with us, so basic personal details like your name and your email address and your postal address. And it also involves confirming to us that you pass our basic eligibility requirements, so that you're aged over 18, you've got the right to work in the UK, you're a West Mids resident if you're applying for a West Mids programme. And then we also ask you a few questions about yourself as well. This is where sometimes people get a little bit daunted by the application form and they think, okay, should I embellish? Should I exaggerate a bit? Is this like going for a job interview? Do I need to sound as impressive as I can? And the answer to that is no, you don't. What we're looking for is for you to be as brutally honest as you can be about your circumstances, your life, your journey, any barriers that you might have faced to employment in the past. The more we know about you in that sense, the more we can support you when you're on program, and the more we understand whether this is the right program for you. So because we're a not-for-profit, we're not just going to kind of take anyone onto the program just for the sake of kind of making money or making a profit. We're very ethical about how we bring people onto the program. So we are specifically looking for people who may have faced some barriers to getting into a career in the past, such as being a woman trying to get in the tech industry. We class that as a barrier. So if that is you, and presumably if you're here, that probably is you, that is something that we would definitely class as a barrier and something that would be circumstances, whether you've had any luck in the past applying for jobs, whether you've got any experience in tech, and remember we're not looking for any experience in tech, and things like that, really. So just kind of, what are your personal circumstances at the moment? What kind of responsibilities do you have outside of work? If you are working, you might be telling us that you're not working as well. So are you a parent? Are you a carer for your parents? Have you got any other sorts of dependents? What does your life look like outside of a bootcamp, outside of Generation, to allow us to support you to the best of our ability? After that, we will ask you to upload some documents that just prove that you pass our eligibility criteria. So we need to check that you are over 18, that you have given us the correct address, that you have the right to work in the UK. So it would be as simple as providing usually a passport scan or a photo of a passport or a driver's license or a visa or a residence permit, whatever it might be that pertains to your particular circumstances. You can upload a photo of that in your application online, just so we can check, yeah, tick, done. We can say to our funders, yeah, they pass the criteria, brilliant. We can pass them through to the next stage of the application. So that's that first section. So that's all online, and that's just about gathering some information about your life and about your circumstances and figuring out whether we are the right program for you. As I said, we're very ethical because we're a charity, we're a non-profit. We're not going to bring people on that we don't think we can support to the best of our ability. So the next bit on here, so for all of our tech programs, you'll then be asked to do a short task or online activity. Now this can get a bit nerve-wracking when people think, oh goodness, task, like the word task or the word test or even quiz, even though that tries to sound a bit more friendly, can still sound a bit daunting. This is not to test any prior tech knowledge. We're not expecting you to have any tech knowledge. You haven't worked in tech before, for most of you, or you haven't done a tech program before. What we're looking for is just whether you have a bit of aptitude for tech. So we won't be asking you to do loads and loads of techie stuff. We might ask you to read through something and then answer a couple of questions about it. We might ask you to do a little trial coding exercise, and that can sound a bit daunting as well, but they are exercises designed for people who have never done it before. So it's just seeing whether, okay, is this person interested in tech? Are they enthusiastic? Have they taken a little bit of time to do a little bit of research about it? Have they taken the time to come to an event like this? You are already proving that interest. So if you were to write on your application form, I found out about Generation, or I decided to apply because I came to a Women in Tech event, that to us is like, yeah, this person is quite motivated. Like they've actually come out on a really dismally rainy day in Birmingham to come and hear about opportunities in tech. So if you asked to do that short task or quiz or aptitude test, but again, please don't worry about it. It's not trying to test any prior knowledge that you may not have. It's just about what's your potential, what's your aptitude in the future once we've taught you all these technical skills. Oh, there's a missing line there, isn't there? So that should say, attend an interview and a group interview or group task. So the interview is with a member of Generation staff. So it'll be someone like me or my colleague Ashleen or someone else from Generation, and you'll meet with us for about 20 minutes on Zoom, which is like an online video platform, so you don't have to leave your home, don't have to go out into the rain if it's a day like this, and we will just ask you a few more questions about yourself. So we try to make it feel nothing like an interview that you might have had before, like nothing like a traditional job interview that can be like really daunting, really scary. We try and put you at ease as much as we possibly can. And we're just asking you, why are you interested in tech? Why are you interested in this program? How do you think this program is going to maybe help you in the future? You don't have to know exactly what you want to do in the future at this point. You're coming to us as a work in progress. I mean, we're all works in progress, really. None of us are perfect. But you're coming to us as a work in progress. We will help you understand where you might want to go in the future. So you don't need to know that right now. But we'll just ask you some questions about, why are you interested? What about tech makes you excited? What about tech makes you kind of go, yeah, I think I could do that in the future? So hopefully the interview is not going to be anything to be scared about. It's just 20 minutes having a bit of a chat with one of us. And then what that should say is a group task as well. So as part of that interview process on the same day, we'll keep you on Zoom for another 20 minutes or so after your interview, and you'll go into a Zoom room with maybe 3 or 4 other people who are also applying for the same program. And we get you together because what we're trying to see is, how do you operate with other people? So you heard me say earlier that our programs are quite a lot different to traditional distance learning. They're very interactive. You talk to your peers in your classroom. You get to know them really well. You make friends. So we're looking for people who are happy in that kind of environment. You don't have to be the world's biggest extrovert at all. In fact, we don't want that. We don't want people shouting over each other. You don't have to be super confident and outgoing. It's just to see, are you going to be comfortable in that environment? That's all it is. So we'll put you in that Zoom room with 3 or 4 other people. You'll have a member of Generation staff there as well, and we'll give you a really silly task to do. That's nothing to do with tech. So at the moment, I think it's something like, here's a list of items. You're stranded in space. What items do you think you'll need? Yeah, and as a group, you just decide kind of what items you would take into space with you if you happen to be on a spaceship and stranded in space. So really silly, but and nothing to do with tech. So it's designed to kind of put you at ease and not make you worry, or not make you think you have to know lots about tech to answer the questions. And it's just to see how you work with other people. Can you chat to other people? We're not even testing you on which items you pick. So if you pick the really silly items, that's fine. You can do that. It's just to see how you talk to other people. So that all happens on the same day. And then, hopefully, if all goes well and you're still super interested, you'll get an offer from us. And the only thing we ask you to do as part of getting that offer is to meet with one of our mentors. So I mentioned this earlier. You would have a 20-minute chat with one of our mentors, and they will dig just a little bit deeper into, okay, what does your life look like right now? If you've got kids, okay, what does that look like? How old are they? How can we support you to do this course as well as be a parent? If you're caring for your parents, how can we support that? If you're stressed about money, we can give some advice. So we can help you understand what benefits you can claim during the program, because we have an agreement with job centres that you can continue to do that while you're studying with us. So whatever might be on your mind, whatever you might be worried about, whether that be mental health, caring responsibilities, physical illness, anything like that, they will just ask you a few questions designed to help them understand how to support you best on the program. A 20-minute call, and then all being well with that, you get the offer at the end, and that's the super exciting bit. Today actually is a really lovely day because we're sending out offers for our next West Midlands class, which is an IT support class starting in a couple of weeks' time. We're sending out those offers. You get a couple of days to log on to your application, accept the offer, and then after that, what we do, we spend 1 to 2 weeks onboarding you onto the program. So we spend a bit of time with you during those 1 to 2 weeks, teaching you how to use the different softwares that we use to teach you, answering any questions about laptops or any device questions you might have. You get to meet your instructor at that point. You'll meet the rest of your class and an induction session. So we take a good amount of time to actually ease you in. You don't just get the offer and then turn up on day one and go, oh my goodness, this is a lot, this is intense. You know, we take a bit of time in the run up to just ease you in, get to meet all your peers, get to meet your instructor and your mentor, and just feel a bit more comfortable. So when you turn up on day one, you know exactly what you're doing. You know everyone else in the class, you know who the instructor is going to be, and you feel like, yes, okay, I'm ready to learn now. I'm in a good headspace to start learning. So I thought I'd just recap as well before we look at actual applications. What is it that we're actually looking for? So we're looking for enthusiasm and motivation. So when we say motivation, sometimes people are like, I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. Like, it's a vague term sometimes. And to me, motivation is your reason. It's your why. Why do you want to do this? If you spend a bit of time thinking about why you want to do this and your reason for doing it, that will give you the motivation to keep going. If you don't know why you want to do this, you're going to have a really hard time explaining to us why you want to do it. And it's going to be hard for us to understand why you want to do it if you yourself don't really have a reason. You don't completely understand your own reason or motivation for making this change. So spend a little bit of time, would be my top tip, just thinking about, okay, why do I want to do this? What is it that I want to change? What is it that I want to achieve in the future? You don't have to have super set goals. You don't have to tell us in 10 years' time, I want to be in this job at this company, nothing like that at all. It's just, why do you want to make a change? What about your life now is not meeting your hopes and dreams and your aspirations? You know, why do you want to make that change? Commitment as well. So our programs, as I said earlier, are quite intensive. They are Monday to Friday, sort of 9 to 5. We can be flexible. We do have lots of parents who come into the program. We'll do school drop-offs and pickups and stuff like that, so we can definitely be flexible. But they are quite intensive, and we're kind of unapologetic about that. You know, there's so much content to fit in. So we need to know that people come into our program, understand that, and they're committed to completing the program. It's not good for us, and it's certainly not good for our learners if we're bringing people onto the program that we don't think, in our heart of hearts, are going to last the course. So that's the kind of ethical duty that we have to make sure that people are prepared for it. So the ways you can kind of show this commitment is, it's quite simple. It's kind of completing all your application stages, completing them on time, uploading the things that we need from you, so various documents and things like that. And that shows us, yeah, okay, this person is quite committed. They've also done a bit of research, or they've come to this kind of event and they've heard about it, and they're doing everything we need them to do when we need them to do it. That shows a good level of commitment and also motivation, actually. A willingness to learn as well. So that might sound a bit obvious. It's like, yeah, I'm enrolling on a training program. Yes, of course I want to learn. But we need you to come in with an open mind. So even if you've had a little bit of tech experience in the past, you've kind of got to come in with a bit of a blank slate and just be willing to hear other people's points of view, work with other people in a classroom, be a really good team player in the classroom as well, and just be kind of willing and ready to embrace the opportunity that you've got. And I mentioned this earlier, but I think it's worth recapping, is honesty. So what I mentioned earlier is that it can be really tempting when you're filling out any sort of application, whether it's for a job or a training program, to embellish and to exaggerate and to try and present yourself as the best person possible, or the best possible person, and be really impressive and kind of big up everything you've done. We're not actually looking for that. We need you to be brutally honest with us about your life and your experiences to date. That's going to help us get to know you a lot quicker. It's going to help us understand how to support you, and it's going to help us understand whether our program is the right fit for you. Not even whether you're the right fit for the program, but whether our program is the right choice for you, or whether something else, a different service or a different provider might be a better option for you. We can't do that unless you're honest with us. So although it can feel a bit daunting to kind of open up to people that maybe you don't know that well, we understand that, and we try and make it as easy as possible. But please be honest in your application. Just tell us about your life. Tell us about what's going on in your life in the past and the present, and that's going to help us make the right decisions. And then just to recap again, what we're not looking for. So lots of qualifications, lots of professional experience. That's not who we're for, generally. There are lots of other training providers who do serve people who have had lots of opportunities, who just need a bit more luck or need a bit of extra training on something. That's not who we are, and that's not what we exist for at Generation. So we're typically not for these kind of people. We are for people who can demonstrate all of this, but don't necessarily or haven't had the opportunity to gather these things. And then lastly, I thought I'd just finish before we look at actual applications, is how to show these qualities. So I thought I'd try and make this very practical, because some of these words can be a little bit vague sometimes. So enthusiasm, how do you actually show enthusiasm? It's all about thinking how you present yourself. It doesn't mean you have to show up in a suit, and like a skirt suit or a pantsuit or anything like that. It's more about how you're coming across to people. So if I was to sort of present to you today, behind the lectern, hunched over a bit like this, sort of standing like this and just like looking like I really don't want to be here, it would have an impact on you. It would have an impact on your experience today and your enjoyment of today. It's not always easy to stand in front of a group like this. Not everyone loves it, but it's a much nicer experience for you all if I'm stood out here and I do this a little bit, to be fair, but like I'm not sort of stood like this and I don't have a scowl on my face. So when you're doing your interview with us, think about that kind of thing. Super simple tricks like making the room a bit lighter, opening the curtains, put the light on, sit up straight, smile, make eye contact, even though it's over Zoom, we can still tell. Look like you want to be there, look like you want to do this opportunity. And that really shows the enthusiasm. And just giving it all your best self. So give yourself the best chance of doing well in this application. When you're doing your online task or your aptitude test, try and find that quiet 15 minutes at home where you can actually dedicate your time to that. We know that's really tricky. We know everyone's got loads of stuff going on at home, but if you can, that would be amazing. We talked a bit about motivation already, but just to recap, it's completing application stages on time where you can, or at least letting us know. That's absolutely fine if you are delayed, but just let us know. And understanding your why, understanding your reason for wanting to do the course. Your reason is going to be unique to you. It's not going to be the same as anyone else's, and that's what we want to hear. Commitment as well, so showing that you've done a little bit of research about Generation or about the course, mentioning on your application that you've been to this event today or you've watched this event online is an amazing way of showing that you are committed and you've done a bit of research. And it's also helpful for us if you can spend a few minutes or a little bit of time thinking about how am I going to fit this course into my life? We will ask you those kind of questions as well. The mentor will certainly dig into that. But if you do have responsibilities at home of any nature, have a little think about, okay, how am I going to balance this? And that shows us that you're committed because you've thought really seriously about how this kind of opportunity is going to fit into your life and how you're going to balance it. Willingness to learn, we've talked a little bit already, but it's partly showing your excitement, but specifically for the learning process. So we know everyone's excited about the job at the end. We know that. Of course, you should be. That's broadly why we exist. But if you can be excited about the process of learning as well, that is going to show us this is someone who's really special and wants to do this course, and we should probably bring on to this program. And then thinking about the areas you want to develop in as well. Your work's in progress, all work's in progress, but before you start the course, there's going to be areas that you don't know when you want to develop in. Not just the technical skills, which we're not expecting any of you to know when you come onto the course, but kind of personal qualities. Are there any personal qualities that you're interested in developing? And you could work with your mentor. Alongside learning the tech stuff, you can work with your mentor to develop those qualities in you. So when you graduate, not only are you a tech wizard, you've also kind of improved yourself as well. And then honesty, we've talked about already, but again, just talking us through your life and experiences in a really honest and open way is super helpful for us. Okay, so that's coming up a little bit later. So what I wanted to do now, you have to bear with me slightly, I'm going to open up our webpage and just show you a little bit about the program that is currently live for applications in the West Midlands, which is our Amazon Cloud program. So talk amongst yourselves for 2 minutes while I swap this over. Okay, so this is our website. Welcome to the Generation website. To access the website, you just have to go to uk.generation.org, which is at the top there. And what I've done is navigated to the West Midlands AWS page. So to do that, what you do is you go onto our homepage, which I can show you now. And you don't have to follow along right now, it's okay. That's taken a little while to load. There we go. So this is our homepage. Got some lovely stats there about the people that we support into employment. You scroll down here, you can click West Midlands, and it shows you the different programs that we currently offer in the West Midlands. So the tech programs that we currently offer: data engineering, IT support, AWS, which is a cloud engineering program, and data analytics, which you heard Dawn talk about earlier. So the one that is currently open for applications, it's the next program that's running in the region, is AWS. Has anyone heard of AWS before, or heard of cloud? A few, yeah, okay, cool. So this program is one of our longer ones because there's loads of content to fit in. It's a 12-week program. It starts on the 29th of August. So we run our programs multiple times a year. So if you're ever unsure of what's coming up next, you can just get in touch and we'll let you know when the next programs are running, what the dates are going to be. And this is run in collaboration with Amazon, their web services department. So we've developed it with them, and they accredit it to make sure that we're teaching the right things, that we're teaching the most up-to-date things as well, and making sure that nothing's outdated. And it's kindly funded by the West Midlands Combined Authority as well. And this program trains you up to become a cloud support practitioner. So cloud technology is all about where we store our data. So you might have heard of the cloud before. Dawn actually talked about all of the different types of data and the sheer volume of data that we use, that we consume, that we have to store. And she touched briefly on data storage. So cloud is one way of storing data. It does help to think about it sometimes as a literal cloud above you with all the data floating around. And so a cloud practitioner, as it says there, is someone who helps develop these cloud solutions, so helps companies develop their data storage solutions to make sure that everything is kept safe and secure and is easily accessible. So loads and loads and loads of companies use cloud-based services. There's two main cloud services. The first one is Amazon, they're the biggest, and then the second is Google. We do run a Google Cloud program as well. At the moment, we've just piloted it in London. We do hope to roll it out into other parts of the country soon. But Amazon is the biggest one, and this is why we chose it originally, because this is what the majority of companies who use cloud services use. They use Amazon Web Services. So this program, please ignore the age cap there. So that has changed now. So this program is open to those over the age of 19. And we're looking for people who ideally haven't been to university, but please don't panic if you have. You can come and have a chat with us and we can talk about the suitability. Sometimes it depends on the course that you've done. But people who enjoy working with technology, but don't have much experience, which is one of the reasons maybe you're here today, enjoy creatively solving problems as well. So a lot of the skills involved in working in tech, but I think particularly in cloud, is all about problem solving and being creative. So sometimes people think tech is a non-creative industry, like it's dry, it's numbers, or it's computers, and that's not creative, it's not art, it's not music. But there's loads of creativity in how you approach problems and how you solve them for different businesses and different companies. Also looking for people who like working in a team as well. So you're working in a team in your classroom with Generation, but also typically when you go into companies or you graduate and you enter into your first role, you'll be working in teams of cloud practitioners. You very rarely be kind of working in isolation or very independently. So this program is free, like every program that Generation runs, and that is inclusive of everything that we do. So the program itself is free. If you need a laptop or Wi-Fi at home, we can provide that for the program and for up to 6 months after the program as well. If at any point you need to commute anywhere for an interview, we can fund that. So everything, absolutely everything is free. There is no charge to you. There's no hidden cost. And that's one of the best parts of being a charity. Average starting salary for this program is between £22,000 and £26,000. It's very hard sometimes to find an average because we do have anomalies. We do have people who will earn quite a lot more than that. And it just depends on which company you end up interviewing with and which company you end up landing a job with. But on average, between 22 and 26 as a starting salary. So what I mentioned earlier in my first presentation is that we work in industries and with jobs where we think there's going to be loads of progression if you want it. Not everyone wants to progress really fast, and that's fine. If you do, typically you can progress within this industry within a year, year and a half, 2 years, and then you'll be able to access higher salaries, and then ideally management positions. We have Generation graduates now who have worked their way up into hiring manager positions and are now hiring other Generation graduates, which is really, really lovely and is like a really nice full circle moment. So that's what we're kind of hoping for. We're trying to change the system in that sense. There's a lovely video here, which I don't think I've got time to play today, but I would encourage you to watch on one of our previous female AWS graduates. You'll also hear from one of our graduates a little bit later on as well, who I believe did AWS, but I'll have to double check. And it tells you a little bit more about what you'll get. And then what it'll also do is walk you through the application process. So this is everything that I've just talked about now. And then right at the bottom, tells you more about the different skills and mindsets that you'll learn. So if you think back to the talk I did earlier, all about growth mindset, all about technical skills, that recaps all of that. And then it tells you a little bit more about what a cloud practitioner is. So there's some examples there of some of the companies that you will almost certainly will have heard of who make use of cloud services and very much depend on cloud services to store their data and store their files and things like that. So, if you are interested in starting an application, what you would do, you click Apply Now, nice and easy. Easy if the Wi-Fi is working. And then you'll be brought to this page here. So what we ask you to do, first and foremost, is just register with your name, your mobile number, and your email address, and you set a password. And by setting a password, it means that you can log back into your application at any point, so you don't have to complete the entire application form in one go. That's fine, you can come back to it. So you can save at any point, come back to it at a convenient time. And this is how we communicate with you as well. So we'll communicate with you by email primarily. Sometimes we'll call you if we think that's helpful. But you'll also get messages through this system as well to let you know where you are on the application. So it will show you, when you log in, all the different application stages ahead of you, kind of grayed out at that point, and then as you progress through, they'll come to life, and you'll see yourself progress through that application process. So I'm going to wrap up the kind of presentation side of this now. If anyone would like to start an application in the next few minutes, give me a shout, and I'll come and sit with you, and we can kind of start that together. If not, that's totally fine. If you're not ready to do that yet, please go away and do a bit more research, and you can spend the next few minutes just reflecting and thinking about what you've heard already today. Okay. Oh, and if you just have any questions, just pop your hand up and I'll answer them. It's not ever a hard and fast barrier to being on a program. I don't know if that's on, sorry. I don't want to give any other room to get us in. to talk to you about her experience with Generations boot camps too. So what I was just going to do to start with is just ask each of you to just briefly introduce yourself or reintroduce yourself just as a recap, who you are, what your current role is, and maybe a tiny bit about how you got into that role, but just like super brief, whether that's a Generation boot camp or whether that's a different route. So, do I have a volunteer to go first? Brave volunteer. Thank you. Be the quickest.
So you did all hear about me earlier, but I'm Dawn, top of the list, win. And I'm a data engineer at PwC. I did get into it via an internship, as I was lucky enough to go to university.
Afternoon all, I'm Manny Kankuna. I work for Microsoft as a cybersecurity architect. The way I got in was through a LinkedIn referral.
It's all about who you know.
Hi everyone again. My name is Irina. I'm working at Revolut and I'm volunteering for Women Who Code. And Generation kindly find me by their self. Thank you so much for finding me and having me today.
Hi everyone, my name's Alicia. I currently work at Gymshark as a junior platform reliability engineer. I got that role through Generation. I did the AWS Restart course.
So that's really awesome because we've been talking about AWS quite a bit today because it's the program that's currently live for applications in the West Mids. So if anyone is interested in that from what we've spoken about, Alicia's your person. So I thought we'd just maybe start by going back a little bit in time and asking whether you can remember what first sparked your interest in tech. What made you wake up one day and go, yep, tech, that's the one for me. Nothing else, I just want to do tech.
So I had no interest in tech whatsoever.
Honesty is good.
I was the least technical person, so I left college having done a law degree in psychology, law A-level and psychology A-level. And then I just wanted something different. And I thought, what's the one thing I know the least about that's going to challenge me the most, I know? And it was computing. It was like, the only thing I know what to do with a computer is turn it on and just do a Word document. So I thought, right, this is the thing I want to know about. And so I applied at university for a computer science degree. But that's how I got into technology, because I had no interest.
I got in. God, how did I get? You handed it to me, and I was not ready. I think I got into technology because I was on my phone all the time. I was one of those young teenagers who constantly sat on their phone on Facebook. So I thought I knew technology a bit more, and it was such an open industry that everyone said, if you get a role in technology, you'll get money. So I was like, well, that sounds like a good thing to do. And you're constantly progressing in technology. It's constantly open and constantly moving, and it's one of those jobs that you don't think is going to get overtaken by something like AI. You're the one making the AI, so hopefully you're still going to remain in a job.
Yeah, actually I always wanted to be in technologies, but when I was at school I really loved programming, but there was so many very talented guys around me. Even I had good marks, but they actually could win Olympic games for like programmers. And I thought, okay, I won't be programmer, I won't be scientist, just because I'm not that good at this area like my classmates. And at the end I realized that actually science is very, very, very hard to get feedback loop from the science if I go there, and programming still is a good thing where you can get feedback from what you are doing. And then I decided, okay, maybe I'm not the most talented person who is going to do it, but I'm going to do it.
I think I came across it by chance. It was suggested to me to do the boot camp, and I went ahead thinking, let's just give it a try. And then the first day that I started and being introduced to the courses and what will be entailed in the courses was something that stood out to me, and I thought, let me just do the courses. And then once I started the course and doing all the modules, I really enjoyed it. So that's why.
I love that. And a couple of things stood out to me there is one, I love it when money gets mentioned on a female panel. I think it's really important, and it's okay to be interested in the progression and the money side of things as well. It's okay for women to talk about money. It's definitely a draw. You know, a booming industry with lots of progression is going to reap those monetary rewards as well. I also love the honesty from at least half the panel and say, actually, I wasn't interested at all. But what I loved about what Alicia said is, you know, I just thought I'd give it a go. And I think that's a really good piece of advice, is that actually we can be our own worst enemy sometimes, and we can put barriers in our own way. And if we just give it a go, you never know what's going to happen. So yeah, I love that. Thank you. I wondered then, maybe Alicia and Manny, because we haven't heard much from you guys today yet, could you give us a bit of an overview of what your role is day to day, for people who might not be familiar with what you do?
So I'm a cybersecurity architect, so I work with organisations to tighten their cybersecurity within their organisation. So we put together plans and then implement them. So a large portion of it is consulting, but it's largely putting together the solutions. So if an organisation, well, we don't just put the solutions together. If an organisation has been vulnerable or been attacked, we then also go in and then try and remediate what's happened and salvage anything that we actually can do.
So as I mentioned, I work as a platform reliability engineer, so a lot of that is working on the infrastructure of the website, so ensuring that the infrastructure is secure, but not to use too technical terms, but like whether the infrastructure can be scalable, it's robust, it's reliable, and secure, I guess.
Thank you. A broader question now. So we're all here because we're interested in getting women into tech, or you guys are here because you are a woman wanting to get into tech or interested. I spoke a little bit about earlier at the start of the day about why we want to put on events like this, and it's because of that horrible statistic that said only 26% of UK tech workers are women or identify as women. So could I ask the panel, why do you think it's important or it's worthwhile to try and get more women into tech? Why bother? Why are we doing this? Very keen.
I've been thinking about this. So I was talking to some people earlier about why I think this is really important. And it's important to think that if you don't have diversity in those roles at the top, then the solutions that you're making aren't diverse. So for example, with AI, one of the big issues that they're having is that if they see a picture of a woman or a picture of the man, they think the woman's going to be a nurse, the man's going to be a software engineer. If you don't have women in tech roles identifying those biases, men just don't think about it because you see yourself. And it means that will lead to more biases in AI, more biases in the future. And that's why I think it's really important just to have that diversity going through tech, just so people notice the errors.
Yeah. So you're designing products for the entire population, but the people designing those products are not representing the whole population. Yeah.
I was going to say half the population is female, so we've got an opportunity to shape things the way that we want it. It shouldn't just be male-dominated industry. The other thing is obviously we've got a different perspective that males can't bring. So we can multitask. I'm not saying males can't, so sorry for
But apologies to the two
anyone.
men that are in the room.
But we're very good at multitasking and prioritising and seeing things from a different perspective. And obviously, again, if we don't bring that to the industry, then that's going to be missed hugely. So we've got very good analytic skills. Obviously, that's inherent in the way that we're built, but yeah.
My personal thoughts will be to protect the future of not only our girls, but our boys, because right now it's a lot of role models where guys sacrifice their personal life to build strong career, and they overtime and overwork a lot. And for them, it's even easier to build career than deal with their relationship. At the end, they build amazing career, but they don't have anything in their life apart of their job. And if we have evenly distributed generation of women and men who's working, if we have equal rights, like who actually go to maternity leave and then paternity leave, then we can fix it finally.
I think tech is one of the most male-dominated sectors out there. I think if you say to someone tech, instantly the mind will go to a male I think it's important for women to be there, because in the workplace, and just men, if you want, like, I'm saying, speaking from a more social skill, if you want to have like female counterparts, it can be more difficult to, like, communicate with, like, if you want someone of your own gender in the same place as yourself. At Gymshark, the equality is pretty balanced. There are there's a lot of female tech people in Gymshark, so there is a balance there. But I think in wider circle, I think this is something that women really need to kind of step forward in as well.
Amazing answers. So kind of following on from that, then, you've convinced us now, all three of you have convinced us that we're doing the right thing. This is a worthy cause. We need more women in tech, right? Good, tick. But in your experience, does being a woman in the tech industry, or has it, come with any additional challenges? If it has, how do you navigate them?
I personally, I haven't faced any challenges. I think, if anything, I've been welcomed a lot and given a lot of space to develop, both as a person and in the career that I am in. I'm very supportive. I don't think, personally, from my experience, I can't say that I've experienced any challenges at all.
And that's really nice. We're not kind of fishing for trauma here at all. But I think also one of the things that Generation do is we're looking for companies who have our values and our ethos. So we're not trying to place our graduates into companies or positions where they are going to feel unwelcome or unwanted in any way. And part of the work that we do is actually convincing employers to kind of open their minds a bit and change themselves as well. So actually, I'm over the moon to hear that you haven't faced any challenges in a company that we worked with. So that's really nice. Irina?
Yeah, the secret that I discovered is having people who will support you with your challenges, having a good network and building network. And it's also very good to have a mentor who you can come to and ask, like, hey, could you please help me to understand if I'm doing right, if I spend my time where I should spend my time, if I do not do something that is not needed but I still trying to achieve it. So having a good mentors and choosing a good mentors. Also, do not follow this person who actually authoritative and give you good advices, but probably it's not the kind of person who actually want you to grow up. That is important to overcome these challenges.
I've never come across any kind of prejudice being in IT ever. If anything, it's been more welcoming because the males actually do like to have that female perspective. I've worked in organisations where I've been the only female in the room, and so they've actually welcomed the different perspective that I can bring, because obviously with male it's black or white. It's never really grey in the middle, and that's something that we can bring in terms of, okay, you're right, but have you thought about this, or X, Y, Z? And that is something that sometimes is missed. I also agree with yourself in terms of where you do come across, because I've seen other women who have had it slightly more difficult in terms of pitting themselves against other men who are probably got a larger voice, a greater knowledge, but having that male mentor or somebody on your team who can advocate for you is always helpful.
Yeah, I completely back that. I think I haven't had any issues, but I'm quite an outspoken person. I'm quite happy to speak my mind. And most women aren't like that. Most women are a bit shyer, a bit more. They'll instead of saying they've got loads of skills, they'll try and bring it back a bit and be like, oh, I have a little bit of experience, even if they've worked for 5-6 years and something. And having a mentor or having someone to back you and really bring your confidence up that you do have those skills. And if you were a man, you would be saying you have 10 times what you actually do have. Just trying to bring that out.
Oh, awesome, thank you. I'm actually over the moon to hear that there isn't too many challenges. I think when we have done these kind of events a few years ago, maybe that wasn't the case. So it's kind of showing how much progress and kind of how much evolution there is in the industry in quite a short space of time, which is amazing. Switching tack slightly, but obviously staying within tech, what is the most exciting thing about tech at the moment in your field? What's something that's really cool or really exciting you in your field at the moment?
I think AI is the most exciting thing. When I don't know if any of you have had a play with ChatGPT, but just looking at what that thing can do, it's incredible, and it makes me worried about my knowledge. I think that's the most interesting thing, and working out how we utilize that, how we make sure that it does the best for humanity and keeps people at the center of it. I think that's the most interesting thing at the minute.
I'd have to agree. AI again, I think in any industry, AI is now coming right at the top. But as you said, it's also scary because it can be used in a negative manner. So as long as you're using it proactively, I'm trying to think. What else? I think it's just AI at the moment.
Okay, I would say that cloud and technologies that actually allow any startup now just pick up the product, build it, and push on the market without like any renting of like real servers and build administrative teams that will do CI/CD. CI/CD that changed dramatically through like 7 years that I started. It was so slow. Everything it was like, okay, I'm going to build it today, but it will go to production in half a year, 1 year. I don't know even when because the whole process is so long. Now it's so easier because of the cloud. You can even push your application without going like too deep how to establish my own server. When I was at university, it was like, okay, the guy like he could manage their own server, put their own machine, and launch their website just on their machine in the room. And there was no other options. Right now, Amazon, Google Cloud, Azure, like whatever you want, you can actually build your app. The other thing, like a lot of pushes in iOS development, Android development. Even I heard like iOS right now, you can just collect from the screens, almost ready screens application. So everything became much more productive, efficient, and you can build whatever you want quite quickly, and it's amazing.
Yeah, I would have to agree. It's AI and cloud as well. I think this is something that I remember vividly from the very first week or so when I started the course with AWS Restart, saying how before it used to take companies like 3 to 6 months to hire out a disk and put it in, and then they would be able to start the company or whatever they wanted to start. And now we have online servers that literally take seconds or minutes to spin up, and that's been drastic, and that's amazing. I think there's so much scope in cloud as well as AI, and it's really great. Yeah.
Amazing, lots of consensus. Okay, so staying with you for a second, Alicia, could you tell us a bit more about your bootcamp experience and maybe how it prepared you for the workplace, but obviously particularly your current role?
Yeah. Generation to say in short is amazing, and I'm not just saying it for the sake of it. It truly was.
Not just because I'm sat here.
It helped me grow not just in my technical skills, but also as a person. So the people that I got to know on the team were amazing. Mispa as a mentor used to check in on me, and I used to look forward to our one-to-ones because it used to be really fun. She used to check on me not just like how I was doing on the course, but just around what I was doing in my life and so on. My instructor James, he was really good, gave me some really uplifting comments just before the course ended. Patricia was constantly bombarding me with interview tips and so on just before my interview, so the whole experience was amazing. It would have certain bits and pieces, so it wasn't just constantly technical skills. We also had time in between where we would talk about growth mindset and evolving as a person, not just in your technical skills and so on. And then towards the end of the course, being helped to prepare for our cloud practitioner exam. So the experience was really well. I did it online because I did it during the COVID pandemic. It's still online. Okay, yeah. So yeah, and it was my first experience doing something online, and I was a bit skeptical to begin with, but it was actually really fun. I really enjoyed it. The cohort I was with, everybody was really friendly, and they had a better impression of me than I thought they did, and I knew that in the comments when I got afterwards. But yeah, it was overall a really good experience.
That's really sweet. I love that. A better impression of me than I thought they did. That's awesome. What I've been talking a bit about today in terms of the boot camps is that they are quite intensive. There's a lot, and it can be challenging sometimes. We know we don't lie about that at all. So I wonder, can you cast your mind back and remember maybe what you found the most challenging and how you navigated that?
I think some of the labs could be quite tricky, and that would be because there was a glitch in the system or... sorry? Oh yeah, labs were basically these mock scenarios, or like little simulators where you can carry out certain tasks within the environment. It's like a mini computer within a computer where you learn different skills and so on. So there was one lab that I found very tricky to do, but I kind of pursued it, and if I didn't understand it the next morning, I'd always ask my instructor, and there were everybody else on the cohort. So we had a Discord group just before our exam started, and everybody would get together after the day would end, and we'd just basically practice questions together and so on. So, and it was, if I didn't understand something, it was never I'm on my own. It was always I could ask James. If I was struggling with it, I could also speak to Misbah, speak to anybody else in the cohort. So yeah, it wasn't something that was just thrown at me and like deal with it kind of thing. It was something that was put into bite-sized pieces. There was a lot of information, but the way it was presented was that it was understandable and digestible.
Amazing. All right, I'm going to finish off with one more question for everybody, and then we'll throw it open and just see. We've got a little bit of time for maybe one or two questions from the audience as well. And feel free to pass the mic if you don't want to go first again. Casting your mind back, or putting yourselves in the shoes of someone here who hasn't quite started their journey yet. Is there a particular piece of advice you would give? Or if you are someone who hates giving advice, that's totally fine. But is there something that you would encourage people to keep in mind or remember at this point in their journey?
Just give it a go. You've got nothing to lose at the end of the day. Equally, one of the things that we always say is try it. If you're not good at it, you've not lost anything. You've just gained a few skills. And then at least you know that, okay, I'm not good at this particular thing. Equally with technology, it's not just all IT. There's different areas, different fields. With AI, you don't need to have a technical mind. You don't need to be able to code. You don't need to know about the cloud. It's what you can learn. Equally, one piece of advice, it's not what you know, it's who you know. So even if you don't have the skills, when I went into Microsoft, I was worried that I didn't have all the skills, and I was worried that I need to know everything. I need to be up there with my game. Not the case. The thing that I was always told was, as long as you know someone you can reach out to, that's all you need. So if you're stuck, I know where to go. So if I need information about AI, I go to that person. If I need information about security, I go to that person. And that's all it is. You're not on your own. You're a part of a team, and that's what you need to know. Equally, network. People you know. That's all I can say. That's the one thing that I learned from Microsoft. You're not expected to know everything yourself, and you never will. Technology is always changing. But if you've got people around you that you can turn to and say, right, I don't know anything about this, and I want to know a bit more about it, are you willing to spend a bit of time just going through it and bouncing ideas of people? That's the one piece of advice I can give.
So all of you have got this because you're all here today, but I'd say enthusiasm. As someone in tech, if I was hiring someone, I would be much more likely to hire someone who doesn't have the experience but wants to learn and is enthusiastic about it than someone who has some experience but doesn't care about developing. Because in 3 years, tech's going to have changed, they're going to be useless. But the person who learns and wants to learn throughout that whole year will be so much more useful.
Yeah, also, as I said, it's really easy right now to build everything that you want just from scratch. So follow your gut and your curiosity. And one of the good things that can distinguish you between other candidates, having your personal project, contribute in it like every day. And at the end of the day, you can show like, okay, I also interested in this theory. That is also from my heart. And I built using my knowledge this interesting projects. Like it could be interesting widgets for iOS. It could be interesting websites that you build by yourself. It could be anything, but you pick up the latest technologies. You learn how to do it, and it's a very interesting project in UCV. If you don't have any yet experience, you can show like, but I'm really curious about what I'm doing, and I have this passion, and I can show it through my project. And it's very inspiring as well.
Yeah, I'd echo the sentiment. Just go for it. It's not, you really don't have anything to lose. It's something that you can learn and grow with. If you like it, you can stick with it. If not, then at least you've had an experience with it. It's one of those things that you really have nothing to lose. And it will be I mean, speaking from personal experience, I really enjoyed it. I got a lot from it. So, yeah, I say just go with it and also persevere when you're doing it. If you find it difficult, don't just stop and think, oh, this is too hard. Just keep going for it because that's key, especially in tech. So, because sometimes it's not always the fact that you lack knowledge. Sometimes this system will glitch and you think it's your fault, but then like, oh no, it was glitching, and then you get with it. So, yeah, just keep going for it.
I love that. Blame the system. Always just blame the technology. Love that. Thank you so much. Anyone feeling brave? Anyone got any questions that they would like to ask the panel? If you don't want to ask now, that's totally fine. We'll have a bit of time at the end. Sorry, can I grab that? Ashley, I'm a glamorous assistant running up the aisle. You just pass that to the lady at the back, please. Thank you.
So this is a question for Alicia. I just wanted to ask, what was your, how did it go from completing the course in Generation into your actual paying role? Like, what was the transition and how was that experience?
So once that the course ended, I did a cloud practitioner exam. So Generation supported me with that, booked the exam for me. I revised for the exam, sat the exam, passed it. Generation also suggested a couple of roles for me, as Gymshark stood out to me as something that I quite like. So I applied for that role. I think Patricia was giving me a lot of interview tips and spoke to me on the phone. Sorry, Patricia's one of the people on the cohort who actually interviewed me for the AWS Restart course. So she was the one that was actively recommending jobs to me and tell me how to prepare for the role and what I need to know, and she should let me know in advance that experience isn't that important. They know how much you know and so on. So and then once I had a couple of interviews with Gymshark, and then I got the role in August, I think. Yeah, in 21. So I graduated in February. Yeah, towards the end of February, I think it was. Yeah, about the 12th or 15th, something like that, second week. I sat my exam the last week of February, and then I got the role I was offered the role in July. I started in August. So yeah.
Amazing question. Thank you. Any other questions we've got maybe time for? Maybe one more. Yeah. Microphone is coming your way.
Going into tech, like there's so many different paths. Like, how would I know which one works for me? I'll able to enjoy it. It's like there's data engineering, there's clouding, so it's hard to figure out. That's my hardest part, this journey for me.
Yeah, it's so big. So how do you figure it out? No one.
I think there's so many roles in tech, but they're a lot more similar than you think. And you can really, once you've got into tech, you can really transition within them quite, I wouldn't say easily, but it's not so difficult once you've got a role. And then you can find which part of that role you're enjoying and sort of pursue that. You'll build the community then when you're there, and you'll be able to learn about what cybersecurity is, what software engineering is, what cloud practitioner is. And then you'll be able to get those understanding once you're in there of which bit you want to do. So I would suggest if you're unsure, try one. And then if you find out that's not for you, but you like this specific bit, try something else.
Yep, I'd agree with that. So when I started at Microsoft, I started as a consultant, but it wasn't the job that I wanted to do. But it was just getting your foot in the door. Once you're there, it's very easy to move within an organisation to where you want to be. So one of the things we do promote at Microsoft is that you don't stay stagnant in the job that you're at. So keep looking around, talk to people, network, find out what they're doing. When you're interested in something that someone's doing, just partnership with the mentor, ask them to be your mentor, and then once there's a job opportunity there, you can slide into that job quite easily. But I think it's more, once you're in, that's the hardest bit, is actually getting in. After that, moving around isn't that difficult.
Yeah, I would say the same. Like, you can first of all start with something that you think that you would like and try it, and then you can speak with people like, what is your day-to-day job, what problems are you solving, and what is a target state, what actually you're trying to achieve through this job, and think like if it's aligned with your compass, like is it the same thing that you would like to achieve at the end of the day, and also think about like how many hours you will spend with people, how many hours you will spend on your own in different roles. Because, for example, product owner is really different to software engineer, yeah, but they all have the same target, the product target. Yeah, so it's about actually navigating inside as well, but you can start with something that you think is the most important thing, and also it should be the most important thing for you. That's something that you really want to build at the end.
Okay, thank you so much. So a huge thank you to our wonderful panel. Can we just say thank you to them? It really does kind of bring the whole event or day to life, I think, when you've got real life people working in real life jobs who that I can talk to you about. So that is everything for us today. So thank you so much to everyone who's joined us in the room today. Thank you to everyone who I can just see on the camera over there who's joined us online today. We hope you've had a really good afternoon and enjoyed it and found it useful and hopefully learnt something that you didn't know 4 hours ago. Hopefully you're leaving with a new piece of knowledge that you didn't have 4 hours ago. And are feeling a little bit more inspired to maybe take your first steps into the tech industry. So that is it from us. We're going to stick around for another half an hour or so. So please do kind of have a chat with us, ask any other questions that you might have, chat to each other as well. You know, form your first network with each other if that's something you're interested in doing. So thank you very much. Another thank you to our panel, and we wish you the very best of luck in the future.